All right, so we're on to episode 79 of Dragon Ball Super. This episode is called Universe Nine's Basil the Kicker versus Universe Seven's Majin Buu. And damn, was this episode good! This was a good episode, very exciting. All right, so the episode opens up with Basil continuing to kick Majin Buu around a little bit. In the meantime, the Universe 9 Kaioshin begins explaining just exactly who these three warriors from Universe 9 are, and he calls them the Trio de Dangers, which, I mean, it's an interesting name, and it's funny, even old Kai is like, oh, that's fucking lame, bitch. In the meantime, the fight is kind of going on in the background, and the Universe 9 Kaioshin, he's really like laughing, like like he's going crazy, like yes, Universe 7 is weak. They're weak little pussies. They can't stand up to us. And it's funny, the camera goes over to Kibito, and Kibito's like, what a despicable Kaioshin. Now Basil's continuing to kick the shit out of Buu, and he gets like knocked back, and everyone's like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And Buu is just laughing it up. He's having a great time. And he continues trading blows with Basil. And the camera kind of goes back to Mr. Satan and Goku. And Mr. Satan's like, I wonder if, Buu is going to be okay in this fight, because he's kind of thinking that he's like, playing around. It's kind of the same thing that happens with Arale in Dr. Slump, where Mr. Satan's like, hey, Buu, he wants to go play with you. So, Buu's like playing around and stuff. And, Mr. Satan is wondering, like, is this going to be okay? And I got to give Masako Nozawa a lot of credit on this. She brought the A game for the Goku voice in this scene right here. And Goku, he basically says, normally this would be fine, Buu would be okay, but this time we don't feel any ki from any of these Universe 9 fighters. Goku specifically says his opponent is very weird. And Gohan, chimes in and confirms that they can't sense any ki from any of the Universe 9 guys. And Goku gets into his normal, like, oh, I'm getting real excited to fight strong opponents. So it's like, okay, here we go. But again, I gotta say, like, Masako Nozawa right here, this was good shit. This was like, when super serious Goku comes out, I perk up. Like, oh yeah, here we go. There's some good shit coming up in the future, baby. Goku yells for Basil to then, show his true power, and Basil kind of obliges. And he is, throughout the episode, he's a real cocky motherfucker, constantly laughing and just acting like a real big prick. And he's talking to Buu, and he's kind of like, don't blame me. Your friend is the one who's told me to go full power. And it's like, oh, shut up. Go ahead, bitch. Do your best. Majin Buu doesn't play that shit. And Basil does his, finishing move, Shining Blaster. And of course, they say the names in English. I always love when they do that. And of course, Buu, takes basically no damage from the attack. He's fine. It's a strong energy beam. But like the force of the explosion actually caused Mr. Satan to kind of like, I don't know, like fall over in this little like arena pod or whatever they're in. And Mr. Satan actually gets a little bit injured. Buu has, but throughout the whole time, Buu has been laughing, he's having a good time, but he notices that Mr. Satan's hurt, and he's even got like some blood on his head and stuff, and Buu is kind of like, hold on, I'll come heal you. And I did a video a couple days ago talking about some of the techniques that Buu has done in the past and what I think he might bust out. And again, he offers to heal Mr. Satan here, but Mr. Satan tells him, no, just win the fight, and then he kind of falls unconscious, and Gohan tells Buu, don't worry, he's just unconscious. And then after that, after Buu sees Basil having basically caused Mr. Satan an injury, he gets super pissed, and his eyes actually open, a very, very rare sight, and he goes fucking ham from this point on. Buu gets real serious, and he does like, the little the chest pounding thing that we saw in Dragon Ball Z, like, Kid Buu, of course, was notorious for that. And Basil goes ahead and, shoots another one of these blasts off. And this part is actually super interesting because Buu blocks it and deflects it. And it goes over towards the Universe 11 stand where the Clown God of Destruction is and the Masked Warrior. And the Kaioshin of Universe 11 specifically name drops Toppo, who, if you guys saw in some Dragon Ball Super spoilers, he is the leader of the Pride Troopers. So he's obviously a really powerful warrior. He actually catches the energy blast and he kind of like condenses and just nullifies it in his hands. And this causes a couple of the gods of destruction and, people around to notice that he's really strong. Champa and Vados in particular. Now, after this, Boo kind of hits Basil with a flurry of attacks, beats his ass, and knocks him out of the ring. And at this point, Universe 7, Beerus and them, they're all celebrating. And Goku kind of calls up to Zeno-sama and says, like, in the, Tenkaichi Budokai, the world tournament, when you get knocked out of the ring, that's it. You win. Like, the person who falls out of the ring loses. And the Daishinkan actually tells Goku that that's the rule of Universe 7. In the Zen exhibition match, everything is tied basically to how much fun Zeno-sama is having. So, you see, the two Zenos, they're like, that's boring if the fight ends here. So that means the fight just keeps going. The fight will continue. So Basil being knocked out of the ring means nothing because Zeno-sama wants the fight to continue. So, I mean, if that's what the rules are going to be like in the actual Tournament of Power itself, that's going to be pretty interesting when basically Zeno just decides, nope, the fight's not done. Keep going, keep going. So Basil gets up and he calls for the Kaioshin of Universe 9 to give him something, and the Kaioshin of Universe 9 tosses Basil some sort of fruit or something, and it dramatically powers him up. You see like this big red aura appear around him, and he gets fucking cock diesel, and he gets like real swole, and clearly he's significantly powered up from whatever this little fruit is. And you see it zooms in on the two Zeno-samas, and they're like, oh, this is amazing. And Beerus, of course, loses his mind and is like, they're using drugs. What type of bullshit is this? Bullshit. And it cuts up to the Daishinkan and Zeno-samas again, and they're like, no, this is super exciting. And the Daishinkan's like, well, you heard him. Whatever, it's all good. And he basically says, assume from this point on that anything goes. At this point, we get a pretty good action scene here where Basil, really gets the upper hand on Boo, and he gets like this really big kick combo, and then he does another special attack, which he calls the Wolfgang Pressure. And this is like a bunch of energy volleys, and it creates like this huge explosion. Everything's exploding, and, the Universe 9 Kaioshin is laughing it up, like a little old bitch that he is. And then Basil's like, oh, I did it. And it's hilarious, because the smoke clears, and boop, Majin Buu is fucking fine, of course. And again, I'm referencing that video I did a couple days ago. I was wondering what sort of techniques that Buu would fall back on. I did mention the Kamehameha as basically a move that Buu has used quite a bit in the past. And of course, that appears to be what Majin Buu goes to here. He does the classic Kamehameha like pose, he cups his hands and shoots it out. Now the beam that comes out is orange instead of blue, but it appears to be the Kamehameha. Buu doesn't shout anything out as he does it, but I am under the assumption that that's what that was, just a Kamehameha, and it's a huge explosion. It looks like Basil. For a second, I thought Basil got completely vaporized, kind of like Cell did, but kind of the smoke clears, and it's weird. You see like this electricity around him, and for a second I was like, oh, are they robots? But it's just, he's just damaged from the blast. And, everyone's like, oh shit, this is going to be a tough fight. He still withstood Boo's full power attack. And old Kai laughs and says, no, he's at his limit. And Basil collapses, and Majin Buu is declared the winner since Basil can no longer continue to fight. So the first match of the Zen exhibition match is concluded. Majin Buu is the winner. Buu gets a whole bunch of candy and treats as a reward for winning. He heals Mr. Satan. And then the two next fighters go into the ring. Lavender from Universe 9, and he guarantees that he can win as long as he's able to kill, and we know the Daishinkan said that there basically are no rules, so he is able to kill, and he says as long as he's able to kill, he will guarantee his victory. And then, of course, from Universe 7's side, we have Gohan coming down, and the Daishinkan actually tells Zeno-sama that Gohan is Goku's son, and Zeno gets really excited, like, oh, is Gohan strong like Goku? And the episode kind of ends with Gohan getting a real serious look on his face, and I could sense across the world Gohan fans busting nuts everywhere. Because, this is it. We're finally going to have another Gohan fight. I know everyone is going to be super excited for next week's episode, which is going to be Gohan versus Lavender. Shit is hype. This episode was really fun. It's setting things up in the future. Honestly, this fight for me was more fun than all of the Universe 7 versus Universe 6 matches, except for Goku versus Hit and Vegeta versus Kabe. Those are the only two fights I thought were better than this Boo versus Basil fight. So that's pretty good. We're setting the bar at a good place. Hopefully we'll continue to rise up rather than drop down. I do have to say too, I thought the animation was very, very acceptable throughout this. And I don't have a lot of negative things to say. This was a good episode. Hopefully next week's episode is just as good.